Hello and welcome to View from the Cab. Over the last couple of days I've been sent various links to an article that came up in people's news feeds about damage to Arriva buses from a local school here in town, in the Medway town. The 100 of Who school, long notorious with bus drivers for being a horrific school to drive a school bus to and from. Now this particular article, there's pictures which show the extent of the just vandalism. Basically, it's not even just damage, it's not even wear and tear, it is just outright vandalism. It didn't say specifically what route the bus was on, because there's several. There's a bus that goes all the way to Grain, which bus drivers shouldn't have to go to. There's a bus to Stoke, which bus drivers shouldn't have to go to. There's a bus to Hallows, which bus drivers shouldn't have to go to. And there's a bus to Lower Halstow, which bus drivers shouldn't have to go to. Now I say that, I'm gonna just go off on a little bit of a tangent now. Now if you look at the Who Peninsula, if you look on Google Maps, I don't believe, well actually I believe that buses should only go as far as Who. And the rest of us, and I honestly believe this, shouldn't have to go out into the countryside like that. Doing battle with tractors and farm traffic and just the general hillbillies that live out there. Because the firm I work for in particular, if we're involved in a blameworthy accident, it can cost us financially. Then you've just got the trauma of being involved in an accident, even if you're not to blame, caused by speeding hillbillies that just don't have a clue, really. We shouldn't be going any further than Who. If people want to live in Halstow and All Hallows and Lower Stoke and Grain, then that's on them. I honestly don't see why the rest of us should have to endure going out there, because it's a pain in the neck. It truly is. You've got you get to Halstow and you've got an awful long stretch of speed cameras, because it used to be like the Wild West out there, so they put in these dreadful average speed cameras, and everybody's impatient, and everybody just wants to overtake you, and it's a horrible road to drive along, especially in a bus. But I just don't see why I should have to go out there. If you choose to live in the furthest point away, then I'm sorry, that's not my problem. Anyway, back to the story. So now Arriva are saying that they're going to have to think about withdrawing the service, because it's obviously costing them a lot of money. You'll see in the pictures, it's obviously costing them a lot of money to replace and fix this damage, which these hillbillies, because they live so far away, they're on the bus for 3 million years each time, and they get bored. I said years and years ago, at the very start of my bus driving career, that they should just have allocated vehicles for each route, and when they destroy a seat, replace it with wood. They slash I'm thinking about the old style bench style seats, not the individual moulded ones they have now, but just replace it with a wooden one. Just wood. You smash the window, weld a plate over it. You fill it with rubbish, that's your rubbish, you're going to sit in it, it's your bus. Do with it what you want. If you want to destroy it and you want to vandalise it, then that's on you. You're the ones that are going to be riding in it. And I don't see why that's such a big deal. I don't see why, just let them destroy it. if they rip the seats out and chuck the frames out. I mean, I've heard stories about them ripping out the bench seats and chucking them out the window, and the bus behind picking up the bench seats to take them back. I've heard those stories. You know, rip the frames up. You just won't have a seat to sit on. You know, you just simply will not have the comfort. Turn the heating off in the winter, turn it on in the summer. You know, just torture them. You know, if you want to destroy the bus you've been allocated, then that's up to you. It's not on anyone else. You know, but in the comments section, that people are saying, well, why don't they just use the CCTV to identify the culprits and then fine them accordingly? I mean, if I got a bill for several £1,000s from the bus company because my son had been seen destroying the bus and slashing the seats and what have you, I would be most displeased. You know, but then a lot of it, I suppose, comes back to the parents anyway. You know, it must come back to the parents. All they've got to do, and I've said this to the children themselves over the years, all you've got to do is sit down, look out the window, wait for your stop to come up, ring the bell once, get off. It's as simple as that. Just because you live 1,000 miles away and you're on the bus for days, that's your problem. That's your lookout. Bring an iPad or something to amuse yourself, you know, while you're on your long, arduous trip home. You know, if a bus driver must be forced to drive you to your hillbilly place of residence, then that's what you've got to do. You've got to meet us halfway. You know, and of course the human cost of it. Some poor bus driver's got to fill out a form, which is, as we all know, is just the most horrific thing you can do to a bus driver, is make him fill out a form. Nobody wants to be filling out a form. You know, these people, I'll use the term loosely, people, just sit on the bus, mate. That's all you've got to do. Is just ride the bus and go home. That's it. Why Arriva can't use the CCTV to identify these children is just a mystery. Find them, ban them. Put people on the bus, enforcers. I worked at a garage many moons ago, and one of the school buses there, it wasn't in Medway, one of the school buses there actually had a chaperone, if you like. It was just a mainstream school, but they were misbehaved and they were naughty, so, you know, there was a chaperone. It was a young lady, and she used to rule the bus with an iron fist, as it goes. But, you know, why these people, I don't know, I just don't understand why they can't be identified. I mean, this is 100 of Who is, I'm going to have to give it a bit of a slagging off now, because 100 of Who is the school of shame. I've heard over the years of teachers being involved in relationships with sort of the older sixth formers, which, as we know, is, you know, entirely illegal, immoral, unethical, you know, and everything horrible. You know, that's what I've heard. You know, then there was the well-documented case, and I'm going to have to tread very lightly that. I'm going to have to tread very lightly because their former headmaster, who sadly is no longer with us. I mean, personally, I didn't like the bloke, but he was somebody's somebody. He was somebody's son, he was somebody's brother, he was somebody's cousin, he was somebody's person, you know. And for a young man to take his own life like he did is obviously a tragic, dreadful thing. But the headmaster was arrested for drink driving. He was actually banned for drink driving. He crashed his BMW. I mean, it's a BMW, so that tells you everything you need to know. But he wasn't sacked. He wasn't sacked. You know, we've all seen the adverts of drink driving and the problems it causes, and you lose your job and you have all kinds of problems. but not for the headmaster of the School of Shame. He managed to keep his job. You know, he was in the local papers as the headmaster of discipline. You know, I'm going to stand at the school gates and check the girls for makeup and check their skirts are not too short and send them home if they are, but then gets involved in a drink driving thing. You know, it's the School of Shame, and this sort of incident with problems on the buses just doesn't help the reputation of the 100 of Who. The children should be, you know, they should be tracked down via the CCTV, and they should be forced to pay for the damage to the vehicles, and they should be banned from the vehicles. You know, they're saying, oh, you shouldn't pull the bus because then other children will, you know, be at risk of not being able to get to school. Well, don't live in the sticks then. Don't live out in the boonies, and you won't be at risk of missing your education if some other hillbilly destroys the bus. You know, we shouldn't be going out there anyway, all the way out there. It's horrific. You know, don't live in the boonies. People that live in town, there's always a trade-off. Somebody was moaning once about, oh, the grain service is only 1 an hour. And somebody said, well, move to Luton Road then, where there's a bus every 5 minutes. You've got a trade-off. Everything in life is a trade. If you want a bus every 5 minutes, live in the hellhole that is Luton Road. If you want to live out in the countryside, you've got to put up with an hourly bus service. That's your trade-off. But there we are. So yeah, I'll put a link in the description box for the article, and you can read it and, you know, see what you make of it yourselves. Yeah, but the 100 of Who School, the School of Shame, with its ghastly reputation, been in special measures enough times over the years. They had to have a special troubleshooting new principal come in, and this is the problem again, isn't it? It's all these academies and principals and school trusts and all this sort of nonsense. That doesn't help either. But anyway, that has been my view from the cab today. Be careful out there, it's a real jungle. Thank you for watching, take it easy, catch you on the next one.